Now this is a really fun way of eating. The whole family or friends sits around a round table and you all cook your own meal. So you're dunking and dipping and the stock develops as you go. So right here I've actually cooked a really simple fish stock. I've used around 500 grams of fish heads and fish bones. I've brewed maybe 3 lemongrass stalks. There's garlic in there, and there's actually whole pepper as well. Now I've used 2.5 litres of water, and I've just reduced that until it gets around 2 litres. So very simple and very fast. I'm going to transfer the broth to my little hot pot here. That would end up being around 2 litres. So 2 litres in there, and you bring that to the boil. Okay, so I've filled that up. I let that bring to the boil. I'm going to get rid of my pot. There you go, thank you, brother. Now I need to season my broth. So, half a teaspoon of salt, a tablespoon of sugar. I'm going to balance that out with some fish sauce, another tablespoon. And I want it to be a little bit tart. I'll put in around 2 tablespoons of tamarind pulp. Going to mix that up a little bit. Okay. Now if I was eating this at home, I would stop right there and I'll taste it. See, I'm happy with that, but I've been advised by the professional people around the table here that in Phan Thit you need this essential paste to put in. Now this here is half a pineapple, 2 whole tomatoes, put it in a blender to a fine paste, and it's thrown in a pan with aromatic lemongrass, garlic and chili. So that's the consistency you want, and you need to put around a cup of that into the broth. Just going to mix that up. Now this is the first time I've had this one with all this yummy sauce in there. The colour is actually quite vibrant and beautiful, and it's got a bit of sweet, bit of sour, bit of tartness to it. It's very similar to the ganjul broth that I make, but this is the style of the area around here. I'm going to try that and see what it's like. Now that is already got so much flavour. Now when you're dipping your seafood in, we've got some scallops here, fresh fish, some razor clams, prawns and calamari. So as you're dunking and dipping and cooking your own meal, you're also putting in some cabbage. We've got Chinese cabbage, mustard greens, some bitter leaf here, which you can't get really in Australia very often. Very, very good for you and quite medicinal. So after you're dunking this in as well, and you've got your seafood, the broth slowly develops. And at the end of the meal, when you've finished everything, you just sip on the broth, and that's my favourite part of the meal. And everyone sits down, chopsticks, dunking and dipping. There's a lot of fun, a lot of action. Rồi, mời gia đình ăn ha.
Okay. Very nice.
Chá điệp 2 cái luôn đi.
Okay, hold that.
Cái bóp, cái bóp. Cái bóp.
Ngon thêm tí nữa.
Rồi, cảm ơn. Thế thì mình vô mình ăn luôn ha. Rồi mình vô. Vô ăn.
Cá đi.
Ăn cái miệng giống người đâu.
Ăn luôn. Now this is the family seafood hot pot, lẩu hải sản.